Hi viewer, this is EasyElimu channel. I'm Vincent Kanmwaya and today we shall be handling Form 2 mathematics. I'll be taking you through cubes and cube roots. Under cubes and cube roots, I shall be starting with the cubes, and we understand that given a cube, we know it's a figure with 6 faces and each side has equal measurement. But here we are dealing with the cubes of given numerical figures. We shall look about having a number such as you have been given 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. This one can be written in cube form, and this one can be written as 2 raised to 3. So this is 2 raised to 3, meaning that this 3 means the power to which that number is being multiplied. So we can view here that if you have been given 2 raised to 3, it means you have to multiply that 2 3 times. Meaning, in case you have a raised to 3, then it means given any kind of number, may it be a letter or a number, raised to 3, it means that is a cube of that number. And to evaluate that number, the cube of that number, you have to multiply that number by itself 3 times. For example, this one will give you that. Therefore, we shall now look about what is the value of given numbers or numerical figures in given terms. For example, you can be asked, find the cube of 1.5. Let's say, find the cube of 1.5. That means it's 1.5 cubed. So we are going to find the cube of that number. So if you are being asked what is the value of the cube of 1.5, then it means take that 1.5, multiply by itself 3 times. The first time, multiply, second time, then the third time. Wherever you find is the value of that number. For example, for instance, here you start by the first one. This one is going to give you 2.25, the first 2. Then you continue multiplying by 1.5, and you will find your answer being 3.375. That is the value of the cube of 1.5. Sometimes it may not be a decimal number. You will find it is, for example, 4 cubed. If given 4 cubed, then this means that you have to multiply this 4 3 times. You multiply 4 itself 3 times. So as you will have to find something of the sort like 64. For the first one, it is 4 multiplied by 4, you are going to get 16. If you take 16, you multiply by 4, you are going to get 64. Sometimes, finding the cubes of given numerical figures, it may include alphabetical letters or numerical figures. For instance, here we have dealt with decimals, which are in numerical figures, and whole numbers too. But you can also have this alphabetical numbers such that you may be given x, y cubed. This means you have to find the cube of x, y. And finding the cube of x, y, it means it's the same as taking x, y, you multiply itself 3 times that way. Or you can still do this way, you multiply x 3 times. Let me use dot to distinguish multiplication sign and x. So I will use dot here. You can first evaluate that way, then you multiply or you add to the bracket of which we have here, and that is y. You multiply y 3 times, and here this one is going to give you x. This is 3, so it will be to power 3 because we have multiplied itself 3 times. So it will give you that way, and this other one, it will give you y raised to 3, meaning you have multiplied y 3 times. If you evaluate the 2, you are going to find that if you open the bracket, you are going to have x cubed, y cubed. The same applies if you use the upper one. If you multiply this way, this is the first, second, third, it will still result to x cubed, y cubed. So meaning that in general we can say you can still find the cube of any given number or alphabetical letter by multiplying itself 3 times. Next we are going to see how we can use mathematical tables to find the cubes of given numbers. Now let's use tables to find cubes. This is what we call a mathematical table, and if you have been told to use tables to find the cubes of given numbers, then you will be required to use this 4-figure elementary mathematical table which is approved by Kenya National Examination Council. This is a sample and I shall be using that to find the cubes of given numbers. For instance, I'll start by finding the cube of a number which is 1.9, and in symbolic I will write it as 1.9 raised to 3. That is how we write a cube of given number. Now, finding the cube using the mathematical table is similar to finding the square and square root using mathematical table. We shall use the same approach to find the cubes of that 1.9. And to find the cube of 1.9 here, you are required now to find 1.9 under cubes. And here is cubes. Then you will go to the column of x, locate 1.9, move down until you find 1.9. And since we have just 1.9 here, it means we have no additional digit to that 1.9, so the additional digit will be 0. So we shall view 1.9 here, then the column here which is 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9, it means that is additional digit to 2 decimal places. For example, if you have a number like a point b, c, d, then it means here we shall locate first a point b, that is under the column of x. A point b is located under the column of x, which I will have here. Let me write here for easy vision. Mathematical table that is for the cubes looks that way. So we have x here, then 0 to 9 is located in between here. And then we have a column of add, and this one is from 1 to 9 with some numbers there. So if you have been given a point b, c, d, and you have been told to find the cube of that one, then you will have to take, for example, this is an example, view a point b, under this number you take a point b, it will be under the column of x. View where you will find a point b here. Then c will be between 0 and 9 for the first column here, this table here. So you will view if c is located, for example, here, then locate that number where they coincide, that way. The number where the two lines coincide there, take that number to be the cube for the first part. So you will write that number. Let's say that number may be, let's say, FGH, or we can take that one to be FG point H, for example. Or it may have even some, let's say, 00. And if that is the number, now we are required also to add this D, because we have been told this column is for the addition. Now you will come here where there is a point B. You had first viewed using that, so we shall have to add this, the other decimal there. So you will view up to where you will find D. If D is here, then you take that value of which coincide with a point B. That value here, it is written in whole number, but remember, because we have been told to add, it is always in decimal point, and mostly it is given in 3 decimal places. So you will have to take that number and it will be in 3 decimal places. Let's say that number you take it will be like Z there. So if it is Z, then to this one you will add 0 point, because it is Z, it will be 0, 0, Z. Because it's only one figure. It is always in 3 decimal places. So on addition, you will have to find FG point H0, Z. And this one now will be the cube of that given number. Now using the same technique, let's now find the cube of 1.9. 1.9 will give you, you view 1.9 under the column of 0 because it has no another additional digit. So it will give you 6.859. 6.859. And this is the cube of 1.9. Let's find another one. For instance, you may be given a number which has 2 decimal places and you'll be told to find the cube of that number. For example, a number like this, you will find the cube of that number. You will first locate 1.1 on your mathematical table and you will find your 1.1 lies here, and then you go to the column here which is in between and view where you will find 2 up the top, and you will find 2 is there. Use that column, use the column and that row of 1.1 and find where the 2 coincide. Where they coincide, take that one as the value of the cube of 1.12 because it has no other additional digit. So you will find it is 1.405, and that is the cube of 1.12. For instance, you will find another digits where you will be given 3 digits, and if you have been given 3 digits, you will find, for example, you have a number, let's say you have 3.445. If you have 3.445, for example, if you have a number like this and you have been told to find the cube of that number, then it means you will first locate 3.4, and on locating 3.4 you will find 3.4 lies here, and if you find 3.4, go to the column of 4, which is the next digit here, and 4 is located on the top of the first column there, first table. So view where 4 is and use that column of 4 and the row of 3.4 and find where they coincide, and you will find it's 40.708. But remember, this one is having another additional digit. So you will again go to the other table, that the last section of the table which has add, and locate 5 on top, and on locating 5 on top, use that column and the row of 3.4 and find where they coincide, and you will find it is 178. But remember, I told you it is always given in 3 decimal places. So this means 178 is 0.178. But remember the column there, it is add. So meaning whatever you found here, you have to add 0.178. And on addition, this one is going to give you 16. Here you will have 8, and you will have 40.886. And this is the cube of 3.445. That is how we find in case of you have 3. Some instance, you may be given a number which exceeds 3 decimal places. For example, it may be 4. For instance, you may have 5.3679. 5.3679. You find the cube of that number. If you have that number, the first thing you have to do, you have to round that number to 3 decimal places. So if you round off to 3 decimal places, you will find it is 5.3. Because this 9 is more than 5, then you will have to add 1, or the number which precedes it will have with the additional of 1. So it will be 5.368. And this one now, you will have to find the cube of that rounded off number. And this one, you will use the same approach as to what we had done before. And you can also be told to find the cube of a decimal. You can be required to find the cube of a decimal number. And in case of that, for example, you may be given 0.71 and be told to find the cube of that number. Then it means this one is the same as writing 7.1 times 10 raised to negative 1, because the decimal point, the decimal point has been shifted to the right. So only once. So on shifting to the right, it means you will have to multiply by 10 raised to negative 1, which means 7.1 over 10, the same thing. And if you divide by 10, you will find that it will still go to the same thing. And this number, we are going to find the cube of that number. If that is the case, then we shall have to find 7.1 using the table. And that is just 7.1. It has no additional digit in the decimal place. So it will be 7.1 under the column of 0. So on locating 7.1, you will find it is 357.9. So meaning the cube of 7.1 is 357.9. But remember, we have found the cube on the numerator. So meaning if you find the cube on the numerator, the denominator also you should find the cube, because it is under the bracket. So you will find the cube of 10 is 1000. So this means you will have to divide the numerator by 1000. This one is going to give you 0.3579. So this is the cube of 0.71. With that, I believe that if you have been given any kind of number and you be told to find the cube of that number using the mathematical table, I now believe that you can do it without any difficulty. Now we shall see how we can find cube roots of given number using factor method. Previously we have seen how we can find cubes of given numbers. For instance, we saw how we can find 2 cubed, and we say this is the same as taking 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. And this one could give you a number which is equivalent to 8. The same applied to 3 cubed, and we said this one, in case you use the same formula, you will find is 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3, and this one will give you 27. But now we are going to see how we can find the cube root of that number. For example, if it is 27, using factor method. For this case, I shall select first 27, and we can see that this 27 can be written in a multiples of 3. And remember, we said a cube of a given number is that number multiply itself 3 times. Now, cube root of a number is a number multiplied by itself 3 times in order to obtain a given number. For our case here, a given number is 27. So we need to find a number in which if you multiply that number 3 times, you will find 27. And for this case, you will find that number will be 3. And if you multiply by itself 3 times, you will find it will give you 27. So meaning that the cube root of, this means the cube root of 27 is, you will find, will be equal to this what you have here as a 3 pattern number there. You will have to select one from that group, and you will find is 3. And cube root is abbreviated by the sign or symbol of 3 being out, and it looks in that category. If you find a symbol which resembles this and a number inside here, then that means is a cube root of that number. If that number is 27, then that means the cube root of 27 now can be written by 3. But using a factor method, you have to write it in a long process and in order to find whatever you have here. So the same can apply. The cube root of 64, using a factor method, this one will be giving you 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4, and this one here will be equal to what you have here as a group. You will have to select one from it, and on selecting one you will find you will have 4. And if you take 4, you multiply itself 3 times, you will find 64. Let's see other of the numbers here. For example, you will be issued with some alphabetical even letters, such that find the cube root of a raised to 6 and b cubed. So the cube root of this number, you will find it first by taking a multiplied by a multiplied by a multiplied by a by a. It is up to 6 times, so it will be that. And then you multiply by b by b by b 3 times. And if you do that, you are going to get the cube root of that given number. Now here, because we say the cube root of a number is that number which we can multiply itself 3 times in order to get a given number, then we'll have to group these factors here. This is what we refer to as factors. We shall group it into 3, and then from a group of 3 we select one. For that we shall group the first one, then we group the second one, then we group the third one, which are similar. And on doing that, we shall find from the first group we shall take A, and then from the second group we shall take A also, and from the third group we shall take B. And on doing that, you are going to get that you will have A squared B. So this means that A squared B is the cube root of A raised to 6 B cubed. And that is how we find the cube root of a given number. You find the factors of that number, then you group them in a group of 3 items. Then you select the like or the similar items, and then from there you select only one from that similar group. And that's how we do find the cube root of given number using factor method. And with that, we have come to the end of our topic today, cubes and cube roots. See you in our next videos.